his cereal.
Welcome back to Pigskin Holiday, folks. Second quarter.
Shazam!
This segment is brought to you by Pork Rinds, America's second favorite pigskin.
We donate them all.
Yes, they're very good. So we're going to cover some scores here in the second quarter. Let's start off with Mario, the New York Jets and the Washington Redskins. 34 to 19.
Hooray,
Yeah!
they won the game. Hooray.
You know,
What do you know? Big whoopee.
this is yet again one of those games where the score doesn't really show like how close the game actually was. Because for the most part, the entire game was pretty close up until the third or the fourth quarter, and then the Jets just kind of no, it should not have been. Should not have been. But Sean Green kind of came out of the woodwork and got 3 touchdowns, and that was nice. That was nice of him to do that.
Like a cockroach.
Yeah. Nice of him to do that. Still didn't break 100 yards rushing.
Is he like a running back or something?
I'm not really quite sure what he is. I don't know what he even thinks he is.
Terrible.
I don't know.
Well, the Jets are in that 7-5 gaggle over the NFC.
Gaggle.
They need to win some games. They got to get their act together real quick.
They do. Real quick.
What do they have remaining?
Real life
they
real
have
quick.
KC, Philly, the Giants, and Miami. It's not an easy run.
Well,
KC,
those
they
last
should
two
get.
games will be their hardest.
They should get
Yeah.
KC. Well, they should get Philly too, but you never know.
Yeah, right. You never know what Philly's
Vic's
going to
coming
show
back.
up. Yeah.
And Mac may be back by then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Giants and Miami at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They have to claw their way to the playoffs.
Right.
Maybe a wild card berth if they keep.
I think they can do it. I think they can do it.
They're gonna
I
have
hope
to
you can do it. Come
scratch
on.
and claw. They are sitting right there at, like I said, Tennessee, Oakland, and New York all 7-5 behind Cincinnati in the wild card chase 7-5.
Right.
They have to work for it.
They are going to have to work for
So
it.
how much better is Sanchez? You know, he's got a little work to do, I guess, but is he
Yeah.
in that shape that he gets in November, December?
Not really yesterday. I mean, I think he had 1 touchdown and he had 160 yards passing, 160 plus yards passing.
You know, the
That's
Jets
all.
have a great receiving corps with Antonio Holmes.
They do, and
And Plexico Burris, but there's really no lights out, big play activity on the Jets
No,
team.
and you know the thing is, like Santonio Holmes, he's really more like known more for just being clutch. You know, it's coming through at the last second, coming through at the very last, you know, the big moment in the game whenever you need him. But I mean, for the most part, Plex hasn't got. It still doesn't really seem like he's gotten his legs back at all this season. He's not really had any big numbered games.
He has a bullet in it.
Yeah, right.
By the way, that dude in Buffalo got fined $10 grand for imitating Plax and Holmes last
Right.
week.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, at one point we thought Plax did have his legs back. Then it kind of fizzled out again.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But one thing about the Jets, I will tell you, on the offense, even though they're not super explosive, they play with attitude. They play
Yes,
with
they
swag
do.
like they're supposed to.
Yes, they do.
I mean, when you see them make any small play, medium play, even a big play, there's a lot of oomph into it. You know, so they're always right there at the edge.
They play hard.
You can't close the door on them.
Sometimes.
True.
What else we got? Green Bay and New York Giants. Holy shit!
Yes. Yes.
Aaron Rodgers had under a minute to go in the final drive to win the game. Didn't take long to do it.
No.
That was a fantastic.
4 touchdowns, 1 interception too, man.
Speaking of that, the Giants and the Cowboys both were in a position yesterday to try to make some ground. Because Philadelphia's not winning.
Right.
It's up to the Giants and the Cowboys to take the division. The Cowboys, no, it's sad. We'll talk about that later in another segment. But what a game!
The Giants gave them a run.
Remember the Giants and Niners a few weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And now the Giants and Packers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the Cowboys and Giants losses yesterday, the Cowboys loss was a bigger loss than the Giants loss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Much bigger. The Giants clawed their way to a good loss.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a great loss.
If you can hang in there with the best team in the league like that and lose by 3.
It was a field goal that was the difference maker. And that could have easily went the other way.
Hey, Jen. The Packers are your team. Should we worry about your defense? There are times when they allow a little too many points.
Yeah.
And if they do face the Patriots in the Super Bowl, it's an explosive offense.
Mm-hmm.
Are you at all worried about your team?
A little bit.
What if they meet the Giants again?
Then maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, they were
Well, I
talking
mean,
about it a
They
little
don't. But they have Detroit.
No, I'm talking about in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
In the playoffs.
They have Oakland,
Because you
Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City.
You think about 2 or 3 years ago, whenever the Giants played the Patriots, whenever the Patriots were going for 16-0, it was like the second to last game of the season. Giants almost beat the Patriots.
Yes, they did.
And then they played again in the Super Bowl, and what happened? The Giants beat the Patriots.
David Tyree.
Mm-hmm. His helmet, and a helmet.
Put your head to the game, son.
Right.
You know, it's just funny though that like at the beginning of the year we was talking about how really good the Packers defense was,
Mm-hmm.
and they have not shown that at all this year. They really haven't.
No, and I'm
They show
surprised.
flashes. I mean, it's like they're
Every
so
team
hit
has
and
a
miss.
flash
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't expect
Exactly.
flashes from them. That's like flashes from Baltimore.
Right.
You don't see that.
Speaking of flashes, Clay Matthews had a pick 6 yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
So did the Broncos.
Didn't they?
I seen 2 pick 6s yesterday.
Seeked it.
I'll tell you what, I was very excited watching the Broncos game. More on that later. I had a blast. She's in the room going, what? I'm yelling, screaming. So, she didn't need to be in the room to know what was going on.
Yeah.
But as far as the Giants Cowboys, they're going to meet this Sunday.
Mm.
And I think in the final week of the season, on
Yeah.
New Year's Day.
Ooh.
By the way, kudos to the NFL for the schedule, man.
Yeah.
Have you realize what we're about to be in for these last few weeks?
I do, and
Christmas
I'm
Day,
excited.
New Year's Day,
Mhm.
Christmas Eve. We're getting presents
Mm-hmm.
from the TV.
Yeah.
Santa NFL clause. I'm excited, dude. It's going to be a great run. Anyway, Cowboys Giants this Sunday night, NBC, Sunday Night Football, Football Night in America. Going to be a doozy.
America. America.
Let's hit real quick on a couple of games we're going to touch on later. Denver 35, Minnesota 32, another shootout game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that 38-35 game. Those are 2 big classic games yesterday.
Minnesota's been having a lot of shootouts here
Without
recently.
Peterson.
Yeah.
Defense was a problem yesterday in a few of these games.
Makes me happy about what Minnesota could possibly do next year.
They very well could if they draft right. That could be a team to be reckoned with.
You know, they ran the Wildcat a few times with their other quarterback. I forget his name, but it wasn't Ponder. But I was at first going, where the hell Ponder go?
Brett Favre?
Oh, by the way, the Brett Favre rumors are starting up again.
Yes, they
It's a
are.
little too late in the season for that, but whatever. Move on to real quick, another score that was also unexpectedly close. New England 31, Indianapolis 24.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I told you guys last week, and you did look at me kind of funny when I said that Jim Caldwell was doing a great job as a coach over in Indianapolis with what he had to work with.
Right.
And this illustrates that point. They're competitive every week.
True.
Unlike some other team we won't mention, who is the worst team in the league.
Right.
There's a team out there right now who has 2 more wins than the Colts, and is way less. If the Colts played them, the Colts would win.
Right. Absolutely.
Enough
I
said.
believe that.
Atlanta, Houston. Whoa! What? TJ Yates.
Yes.
Fox NFL Sunday had a good piece on him yesterday, which
Did
is
they?
very interesting. You got to hear from his teammates and what they thought about TJ Yates. And they are all saying that when he came in, and when the ladder went out and TJ Yates came in the huddle,
Mm-hmm.
one of the guys was like, "What's up, TJ? How's it going?"
Mm-hmm.
Trying to break his nervous. He's like, "Nothing. Let's go get this."
Yeah.
He was ready to rock.
Yeah.
And they said that's just the way he is. And we forget as fans
Right.
what players bring to the table in practice, in every week in the film room, just as a teammate, and like Mark Brunell in New York.
Yeah.
We don't look at what he offers to that team, but it's
Sure.
there. You know, so TJ Yates had a good backup, mentality of I'm ready to go in when I need to. And they're winning games.
Yeah.
Winning.
They have won,
Winning.
I think, 6 in a row or something. 6 straight. Houston has won 6 straight.
Wow.
TJ Yates, by the way, interesting fact.
Hit me with it.
University of North Carolina is known for its basketball players,
Mm-hmm.
like Tyler Hansbrough,
Right.
and a few others.
Right.
TJ Yates is the first UNC quarterback to start in the NFL.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he is.
Well, ain't that some shit?
What?
This is this is my new specialty, bringing you guys stuff you don't know about, like the Santa Clara 49ers
Santa Clara.
and the net points last week. That's my new thing.
That should
Nice.
be your thing. You should hit us with one of those
Trying to
every
change
quarter.
the show up a little bit.
Do it.
I like it.
So anyway, 17-10.
Newsman Ed.
Atlanta only scored 10 points. They had a chance on the final drive to tie it up, and they came up empty in the end zone twice.
I mean, they was up against Houston, and we've been talking about how great Houston has improved their defense.
Mm-hmm.
They went from literally worst ranked to now literally they were top ranked. They still might be. I don't know.
The defense, yeah.
And that made the difference there. I mean,
It did.
New defensive coordinator too.
mm-hmm.
But by the same token, at that point, Atlanta had come in winning like, how many of their last?
I think 4.
Yeah, like 4 in a row maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Foster had 111 yards.
Yeah, great game. 1 touchdown.
TJ Yates, 12 of 25, 188 yards and 1 touchdown. Not big numbers, but
You know, getting it done.
Tebow doesn't put up big numbers either.
No.
Did Tate run any?
Yeah, he had like 33 yards or something like that. He didn't have
Slow
very
day
much.
for him.
Yeah.
The bad news is Johnson. He's been out so much with that right hammy. Now he hurt his left hammy.
He ain't long for this
Oh,
career.
man. But Houston's winning with these injuries.
Right.
They are.
They're on their third
I
quarterback.
talked about that last week. That they're not letting. They've had injuries with both of their top running backs.
Mhm.
They've had injuries with their quarterback. They've had injuries with the receivers. Just every major offensive part they've had hurt at some point, except their tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And they've overcame everything. You know, whenever one's down, all right, we'll go with the other.
Mhm.
Don't worry about it. We'll be okay. And, you know, 2 quarterbacks down now, and now they're on their third,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still not letting it get to them. They're like, we'll just run the damn ball.
Right.
I don't care. What you going to do?
Well, they're 9-3 and leading their division.
Ah.
And the only threat is Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
who ain't far behind.
No, they're not.
I mean, you know, it's gonna be a good stretch run here. I'm very excited about the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
What gets us up to the postseason this
Right.
year in the NFL. That's pretty much the scores we had to cover for the second quarter. How about some little opinions?
Sure.
What struck you as a great game this week besides, you know, the obvious?
Struck me as a great. I mean, the obvious would be, you know, Green Bay and New York Giants. I mean, that was just an incredible game.
Oh, yeah.
I think games that really showed me. I don't know necessarily great games, but great games that really showed me like what teams are actually for cereal, and what teams are actually going by the wayside. I mean, you look at Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. That's a classic. I mean, that's a picture perfect game of what team is going by the wayside and what team is actually for serious.
Yeah, but
And it's not to say that Cincinnati's a bad team.
Illustrates what,
Yeah, it's not to say that Cincinnati's a bad team, and it's not to say, but like
it's a barometer.
yeah, when you're in that division like that, I mean, you go 3 or 4 years down the road, I would pick Cincinnati to take that division almost every time because you're going to have an aging Joe Flacco and you're going to have a Roethlisberger who's aging as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But with the young
right
team
now,
around him,
yeah, but right now,
But Roethlisberger's the kind of quarterback that you can have in that situation and make it work,
true.
like a Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
older but wiser,
Right?
and physically astute to handle the punishment.
He's
still gets out of the
so
pocket
big.
and
He's
makes
such a
things happen.
huge guy, man.
He is.
Speaking of that, again, we don't want to touch too much on the Denver Broncos game, but I'm seeing more of Tebow as a passer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing him throw more passes, but I also saw him yesterday get out of the pocket and stay behind the line of scrimmage and make openings occur and get the ball downfield. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to see that kind of thing. He
It
is making that change we talked about
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more time. What about you this week? Stood out?
I mean, you know, I hate to say it, but the fact that Indy kept up with New England,
Mm-hmm.
that impressed me. I mean, you know, you say they've been competitive, which sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. They're hit and miss with it, but they was ultra competitive in that game. And, you know, basically, I've said it every game that the Patriots have lost or that there's been a close victory. You know, anybody who can keep up with the Patriots, that's a good sign for them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to know that Indy really has nothing.
I mean, they hung in there with the best team in the AFC.
Right.
Well, you go a while back, they played KC, who you know, at the time was on their run.
Right.
And they took them down to the edge of the fourth quarter to get before KC could put them away.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, anytime you can hang into a game until the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter,
Right.
That's what football's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Damn
And that was
right.
a relatively high-scoring game, too.
31-24, that's 55 points.
Yeah.
It's double nickel.
That's Nickel,
The
nickel.
knuckle.
Nickel, nickel.
Nickel, nickel. But no, I mean, just the fact that, you know, like I said, with nothing really on their side whatsoever, to hang in there with a team that has a very, very, very high-powered offense and right around the middle on the high side, kind of a defense, they hung in there with them, and that's good for them.
Well, and what this reminds me of is I think about 3 weeks ago on the show, we went over the New England schedule and whatnot, and I proposed a question to you. With their schedule being so soft, is it going to be a problem with them maintaining that high level of play, and will they slide a little bit? And this is an indication that they almost did. Indianapolis.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is Indy, but, you know, at the same time, though, like I talked about, the Patriots don't really have that we take this team lightly type of mentality ever. And, you know, while they might not have taken Indy as seriously as they would, you know, like the Jets or the Giants or whatever, they still took it seriously enough to where they kept that lead.
Well, later on in a different segment, I'll tell you how they kept that lead. What stood out to me was New Orleans and Detroit.
Yes.
We mentioned Green Bay and the Giants being a high-scoring affair, and a tussle till the end, almost exactly like the opening game, Green Bay and New Orleans. The Saints are on quite a roll. Breeze has been one of the top quarterbacks all year long.
All year.
Especially in the dome. They're very explosive. In the meantime, so they won 31-17 last night. Pretty easy victory. The Lions, very undisciplined, like I said, 107 yards on 11 penalties yesterday. The Lions have lost 5 of 7 now.
No except.
The Bills are on about
our sleeper team.
The Bills are about in the same boat. So these two teams, we said, can they handle it? No.
No. Our sleeper team forgot to set their fucking alarm.
Right.
Somebody's late from work. Well, that pretty much wraps up the second quarter here on Pigskin Holiday. We are headed to halftime. See you in the third.